And we are live. So let's wait some for our audience for some time. Welcome everyone to our webinar. I'm Alexandra, and today we will discuss an important topic in email marketing: localization. Email translation is a key part of successful email marketing, especially for businesses in diverse or global markets. It means changing email content to fit the language and culture of recipients in different areas, making sure messages connect well with the audience, and building stronger relationships. Did you know that 40% of clients state they want to make purchases in languages other than their native ones? And additionally, 56.2% of individuals prefer content in their native language over lower prices. So these statistics highlight the importance of localization of building meaningful and enduring relationships with clients or website visitors. But how can you do it effectively and cost efficiently, and where should you begin? So to answer these questions, we have invited Kristaps Lapins today. Hi, Kristaps.
Hi, pleasure to be here.
Thanks. We are happy you join us today. Kristaps is localization advisor and the CEO of Language Inspired, a global language solution company born from a deep love for languages and cultures. Since 2009, they have provided localization services to software, web, mobile apps, and e-commerce companies, and more. Kristaps also volunteers as a mentor for women in localization and consults on questions related to the translation and localization industry. In this session, led by Dmytro Kudrenko, founder and CEO of Stripe, Kristaps will share various aspects of localization, including its organization, challenges, and successful practices. So let's start. Dmytro, your word, please.
Yeah, hello. Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you, Kristaps, to being with us today. And before we start, it's very, very interesting question, especially for me personally. So can we start with a brief explanation? What is localization? For which businesses it works? And especially, what is localization in email marketing?
About localization. Briefly to kind of explain the concept. That's in a nutshell. It's like the most important to understand is that localization is a process of adapting content, product, or service to meet the language and cultural or any other requirements of specific target market. And so in email marketing, this means basically tailoring your email campaigns so they resonate with the audience in different geographical regions or cultural groups. That's kind of that. Hope that makes sense.
So we can say that localization is one way of personalization. So we just speak with audience on not just on the language, using the culture. So it's much more than translation. Yeah.
Yeah. So you adapt kind of things to the audience. That's the main point. So you don't speak with penguins about football or the other way around.
I think it makes sense to speak with them about the football, but football can be different in UK and in US. So different culture would think about the same word in a different context.
Yeah.
So I don't know about
Good catch.
US and UK.
That's kind of
okay, but I will today will try to stick to products like our products. We have a Stripe, which global product. We have more than 1 million users around the world, all countries around the world. We have customers, and we're trying to localize our product. And we feel that it's a huge challenge to us because we don't know all languages of the world. We even don't understand all cultures of the world. How do you think we have to support this, how we can work with this to be cost effective, because of it's hard. It's hard. We cannot hire 100 different people who will just translate us and understand the culture.
So yeah, I would say kind of for that, the main thing is kind of to understand the priorities, how to work with that. So one thing I recommend people is to define the ownership of the process. Who is actually in the company owning the process? So if you have a clear ownership of the process, also you will be able to drive it effectively. And after that follows kind of all the other processes like so you have to make sure so you have a good technical setup so you can so the process can work in your favor and not to create some bottlenecks. So kind of technically, if you use a TMS system, whatever is your kind of setup for localization, you make sure it fits kind of from A to Z. So from with your existing tech stack, it fits, and you can create, for example, continuous localization cycle, what allows you to work smoothly with the process. And that goes kind of in hand with developing a content strategy and prioritizing what content should be localized and why. Because you will not have resources most in any company to just kind of localize everything. So you have to follow the data as in any business to understand what is working in your favor and what is working is also worth to be invested in. And when you have those first things in place, then you make sure you have established a clear workflow of what you do. As I said, kind of to establish a continuous localization cycle. What means basically for we had clients, they have on Monday morning some content that needs to be localized. On Tuesday morning, they can push it out to their users, and everything is kind of in the background happens. So if you need to set up such process, you have to establish a clear workflow so everyone is in place when you do it. And kind of last thing in this, I would say, is important to launch kind of with a test project, launch small to understand how it works for you, review results, add some KPIs, and then you kind of can adjust on the way, so you don't do useless things in that.
Yeah, I will share you our experience in a Striper and a Claspo. Claspo is a widgets, online widgets we do in localization from the very first day. And we found that it's different type of content and different stakeholders and different processes. And you just mentioned that it has to be one, like a project owner, like translation stakeholder, somebody who is responsible for this. Sometimes it's very different KPI for them. Let me explain how it works for us. First, we translate in product. So product is easy to translate. We just have a bundle of a text, and every time when we release new features, we translate in all languages. It's easy. But it doesn't work with the marketing. Because for marketing, we need to have first landing pages. It's the first priority for us after the product. The second, it's content articles, like blog posts. Should we translate all blogs? Because of it's a different SEO keywords, much more people have to be involved to publish content. We publish first English and trying to translate using different ways this kind of content. But we also have a communication in emails, in messages. And when we announce the new blog article that is not translated, should be translate the title of an article if it refers to the, for example, Ukrainian link to the English version. So how to manage all the things? So many levels. Support documentation.
So here is already kind of the touch point where you have to understand how the process can be efficient for you, and you have to prioritize things. So you just not touch everything and try to localize everything you get. As we already spoke, it can perceive different in different regions geographically, in different cultural groups, and so all those many stakeholders you just mentioned. This is why also it's important to have someone who oversees the process and understands how it works, so he can kind of manage everything with those stakeholders. And the second thing here would be kind of prioritizing things. So you first translate what is most important, or localize what is most important for your user. So it's like user interface elements. Product itself, like in Stripe's case, it's email templates. You have those pieces of the product, like product documentation, legal content, email, or emails, that's onboarding emails, or any other stuff that your user would face during the journey. So but I would say that's important to stick in localization, not to kind of lost in all those stakeholders you have and all those kind of contents you have. This is why it's important to have a good partner who can help you to develop a localization program, so you understand and so you measure so what works and what is essential for your user journey.
Okay, yes, I get it, but still, it's still a question to me. For example, when we have to understand that we need to add new language, and if we decided to add Portuguese to support Portugal and Brazil and some countries in Africa, where we should start? So where is email? Should we add it into email first because of its personal communication? Or we only can start translating email when we translated a whole content thing, like content on a site? So what's going first?
So the question is where to when you understand you should go into new markets, so you don't have this kind of, let's say, Portuguese to your available languages for your product, and you would like to understand whatever kind of is the time to start. So to kind of answer that, it's really related to data. So you can understand when you have some one thing is kind of if users are interested in your product. So for example, Portuguese users are coming to your web page and they are starting to use it, or they are leaving the page. So that's one of the signals you can understand. So this may be interesting market for us. Other thing is market research and understanding what are the markets for your product, and then you can start to do some pilot projects, test projects, like you mentioned, also different contents. So it doesn't mean that you have to translate or localize all the user journey, but that you can do, as for example some of our clients do, is localize, translate some blog post and promote that, and see whatever the Portuguese auditory comes to that, starts to look at this, can convert something, and you see is there interest or not, so you can test a couple of markets as well. You can look at data, what blog posts have been most successful, for example, in English or any other market in any other language you have. Based on that data, then you can test other markets, and this will be your signal where to go in any other market and how to proceed with that.
Yeah. By the way, you just mentioned that in Stripe, we have a templates, and we translated everything, but templates that really every customer from different countries like engaged in template library. We have only in English, so we didn't even start to translate it because of it's always new, and it just hard to support thousands of templates in different languages. So it's big big challenge for us, and especially I like our current podcast, how we can localize it. So, but we would like to localize. What should we do with this kind of content? Or maybe in e-commerce products, you have a product cards, and how to translate some, like, it's not user-generated content, but some real-time content should be automated in some way. Maybe AI?
This also what our for example, when you have a language partner like Language Inspired, so we can help you to distinguish what content should be at what quality delivered, and so you can use machine translation or AI translation. For some content, you can mark that content as, for example, user created. You can set up a system that translates that, and you have indicated that it doesn't involve any human interference, so it may contain errors and stuff, but it's still available for you. And it doesn't make sense probably kind of to translate, localize at the highest level every content piece that is user generated, or as you said, like kind of podcast or webinars. So because it can also not always be relevant to any audience. You can translate it for some other audience, but it doesn't just work for them. So it makes more sense that it's made available. And again, when you have data, what is working, where is interest, you can, for example, the same machine translation or AI translation output, do another step, what is called post editing, what is also one of Language Inspired's innovative solutions we offer for our clients. So for certain content types, it's a service that helps you to save a lot of time and money and get the same output. But you will not be able to use it today for kind of any type of content. What is highly visible and highly important content for your core users, you would like to still have a lot of human touch and expertise on that. Hopefully this explains kind of how to approach this.
Yeah, but can we? There are so many discussions at the moment about AI. It was a very big. It's still a hype of usage AI in the marketing, in the text generation and translation. It just text, so it's where AI performs better. But can we rely on AI? Can we trust it in translation? Because of sometimes I'm using AI to generate content in a language. I have no idea about what he generated. I see some letters and even words and sentences, but have no idea, is it what I really mean to say or not? I just copy paste and wait for response. Can I rely on AI, and where I can rely? And should we ask human to proofread every message?
So with all the good things, you have some possibilities and you have some risks. With a good partner, you will get support to understand where you need human intervention and where you don't have to do that. And yeah, so it's a lot of kind of related to risk management. It's related to your content. For content that can be highly visible and impact your brand's appearance, or content that can impact human lives, you will still need expert on that content and proofread after AI for sure. But for some content, you can use functionalities because AI can be a great help to identify a lot of technical stuff. What can be applied like a rule, so is kind of taking care of that. And nowadays we can work with solutions that where AI provides us a good insights of what is the quality if it's defined. So you don't work with all the content on post editing. So to prove to have look at where the risks are not high, and you can rely on AI output.
Yeah.
But where you need to kind of specifically understand whatever your message is right, you'll still need to add service, but you can speed up things still, and you can save on repetitive things.
Yeah, I would like to discuss when you just mentioned risks. I understand that there are some content. If I said something not very accurately, it's okay if it's not very generic content that everybody see it. But if we would speak about technical risks, which really worry me a lot, so we have some articles that this content is indexed by Google. And any AI-generated text is very easily recognizable that it's not human written. So it always can say, okay, this paragraph is generated by AI using this model, it's ChatGPT-4, Gemini, or any other. So he's very good in recognizing this. And Google says, never use generated content on your site by AI. So maybe it allows, but it's definitely not plus into your score. So if we wrote the English article, which is unique, we wrote it by ourselves, our thoughts, maybe we did some optimization with AI, but when we translate it using AI, it's always recognizable as a machine-generated text. Can it lead us to the risk to be banned or maybe not shown for our audience? So
yeah, so
what
as I
would you
said,
recommend to do?
yeah, so as I said, so the main thing is there to distinguish what content should go what way. There is some content types that you can mark and don't use any post editing, but that's small piece of that, and it's for content where you don't have high risks. But as you just mentioned, so for example, so your site is SEO ranked well, so the answer would be to understand what is the creativity level you need for that content, whatever it should be at all translated with AI. That's kind of, you have to understand what's your timelines, what's your budget, and what's your requirements about the output. And in case it fits, the post editing step is the answer that will add you the needed creativity to the text and distinguish that from AI output as well.
Okay, so what I do, just let me know, is it safe approach or not? You write a unique creative article in English. Then I ask you to prepare like keywords in SEO in the different languages, prepare like technical requirements for translation, and ask ChatGPT to translate text. And in the header, I say that it just translated version of original English. I keep the same images. I keep the same links adopted to the different localization. But translation is completely automated. I gave several articles to the proofreaders. They said, it's good enough. They suggested some changes. We put them in instructions for ChatGPT to translate next articles. But can we trust that it doesn't hit our SEO score? We're improving usability. We're helping our audience. But I'm afraid that Google would say, okay, it's AI generated. I don't trust you.
That's actually a good question. I would involve usually our solution specialists because I don't have like straight away answer because I don't have myself experience with doing exactly the same steps you just described. So it can vary as what I have done kind of currently. So it it can have impact on your SEO. The thing is to understand what can you do about the output. So AI is certainly a good productivity tool. You can use in a lot of use cases, and translation is one of those. But you have to you have to understand kind of you will not at current level you will not be able to use it completely automated. So the best way is to have a language expert so he can do the tweaks you need, and that will be kind of the safe way to make sure you don't kind of jeopardize your SEO scores there. Yeah, SEO scores. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I have much more questions, but
That's good.
we have, just for our listeners, we have 3 sections. First, we have just quick introduction about some problems of localization and also localization in email. And the second part, I would ask Chris to share his experience in the presentation with some advices or some effective localization strategies. So, and then we will return to discuss this. And I'm sure that we will have a question from the audience. And I have tons of them yet. So it's very big, interesting, and deep question. So thank you for this. And please, welcome to share your presentation. Thank you. So you know how just activate it, and Alexandra help us to
Oh, thank you, Alexandra. So so when it comes to email localization, so the first thing I would like to pay audience's attention is to understand what is actually kind of the market and why kind of connecting globally means actually working a lot of local things. So when we look in the global communication challenge, so actually the majority of internet users aren't English speakers, but when we speak, it's on actually native English speakers of internet users are only 25% of them. So, but businesses often tend to think English is kind of lingua franca and it's enough. But if we see the results we just also mentioned today, actually large part of internet users prefer using content in their language besides a better price. So to dive in to kind of one of the aspects, let's look at US market. So it's actually a very multicultural consumer market, and so they have besides English, they have very large groups that are primary other language speakers. So also seen with business results for companies, we see that you have to localize your communication, your products, your services to those groups. And as you see as well, those non-English first speakers are growing buying power. So let's grab some numbers, like we speak about Hispanic, Afro-American, Asian American buyers that would consume content in their native languages. And that's a good opportunity for any business. So to not miss some opportunities in even big markets like US and drive engagement rates or avoid kind of potential cultural misunderstandings. So this is where email localization comes in. And here are some examples. You can see that every successful software as a service company localize content for their audience. So if we think about successful brands like Airbnb, Netflix, we all know those are global companies speaking a lot of languages besides English. And so we can say that localization is one of the growth factors and one of the key elements of their success. And what we have seen in our business experience of more than myself being in localization more than 15 years is that every kind of successful company starts small. They prioritize things, they test and understand what is working in their favor, so they can actually conquer those markets. So one of the examples you can see here, is this time you can have very good kind of insights what can mean localization for a business. As we previously spoke with Dimitro, so there was the question when to expand in some specific market. When I know, then I have to expand to Spanish-speaking market, for example. And what actually means Spanish-speaking market? Is it Spain or is it other countries around the world? What is the difference between languages? And this all can happen kind of with a first step and test when you see where the users are coming from, and then working together with an experienced language partner like Language Inspired and understand so how you can take the opportunities the market is offering for you. So let's dive into some key elements to localize when it comes to specifically email localization. So if you have interest, you can contact us and we can provide you a comprehensive list of what factors you need to follow. But I will go through some of the elements currently, so you have some understanding. So email seems like kind of straightforward thing, but it actually contains a number of elements you can adjust and play with and test what is bringing the difference of user engagement for you. So it could start with optimizing subject lines. So whatever can work in one market should be still A/B tested in other markets. So you don't just kind of translate the subject line and hope you can get that same result in other markets. You have to test that in each new market, and yeah, so that's just one element you can play around to understand how to reach better your users. Next thing is to adapt your email copy, of course. So all the content. This is not just translating that content, but often considering what is your content in the specific email that can be number of other things you would like to adjust to the specific target group. May it be just kind of separated by specific geographical region or cultural group. Besides the email copy itself, you can get to call to action buttons. And again, this whole thing, some companies localize both URLs and link text on the call to action buttons. There's different button colors, place names. So there, if you know what means call to action buttons, you will know that there are a number of elements you can play with in your native language or your kind of main language which company you use to operate. So that same goes for each market, each locale you would like to localize your product. So besides those call to action buttons, you will consider design elements and visuals. So if it contains pictures, if it contains any design elements, you have to adapt those to specific markets. So it may involve images, colors, symbols that should be different. So you have left to right and right to left languages. So you adjust layout of the design. So it can mean also adjusting fonts, specialized characters can get in the game. So, and also simple things like dates, numbers, formats that need to be adjusted in different markets. Going forward as well, you have to optimize time zones and sending times. So if you send out your campaign in that specific market, you would like also possibly to adjust your send out times. So the consumer is not getting the email in middle of the night, or still you have test what is the best time to send it. So as well, regarding this, you will consider like local holidays, for example, when to send some content out, and other stuff around timing and local things. So not least, what is as well important in email content is you have to comply with local regulations. So this is another thing to take care of. So familiarize yourself with email laws in each target country, GDPR, CAN spam, ensure proper opt-in, unsubscribe processes, and include necessary legal disclaimers and privacy information as well. Besides those all things already mentioned, what is a part of simple email, you have to remember, you have to localize as well automatic responses, because that's I think that's a lot of overlooked, because it's not obvious what you think of when you think of your email localization. So we are getting to next slide, and I would like to speak of benefits of email localization. So we had a picture. What should we do? What is a lot of homework? And getting forward, we have to understand. So what for we should we do all that actually? So you can read here what's stated already. So it's higher engagement, strengthens brand image as well, maximize your return of investment, and it can add actually a very competitive edge in long term of your brand's grow in certain markets. We all know, at least I know, and so we have seen that probably if we think of our own local markets, that companies that come first has a real good angle and competitive edge against other players, and it's usually those companies that localize the user experience for local users that gets that competitive edge in certain markets, and the next players are really in a second place already coming in. And sometimes when we have seen as well that some players come in, don't localize, and some other player is quickly coming in, starting to localize their message, their user experience for the local market, and wins against the competition. But how to do all that? So you don't have a lot of headache, but you succeed in that. And this would be solved with a proper localization journey and proper localization strategy. So make sure before you start your email localization, your localization journey, start with strategy. So, and when it comes to localization strategy, you can find a lot of resources and try to figure out yourself out how to set up things for you, or contact, for example, Language Inspired to help you to create a localization program. So you get from A to Z with the experience that can be provided from someone who already had helped companies to succeed. So, and will help them with this journey. You can here see this slide that would then involve creating a proper strategy that fits your specific case, help you to prioritize your markets where you could have most impact with your resources, what makes sense for you, help to implement the right localization model, maybe in-house team. You have to set up freelance translators, mixed approach, language service provider. That's most of the cases will be depending on your company size, and goals you try to achieve. So the whole journey, if you are interested, can go through it. If you contact us as well, so it would be like here stated, number of stations you have to figure out what should be put in place. So, and when you go through this localization journey, you see here, so there are points like prioritizing languages, choosing the localization model, formats and design considerations, localization tools, technical setups, establishing workflows, implementing testing and feedback. So I would like to kind of pay extra attention on this point to implement testing and feedback. So this will be one of the key elements you would like to not skip in your localization program, but is often kind of underrated, underseen. But this will be a key element that can drive your success if you implement that well. Let's speak as well. So how Language Inspire can help you with this whole process you have to implement. In this slide, you can kind of read some of the key things we as a company help our clients to achieve. So what's special with us is that I think we have a lot of passion about what we do. Everyone in my team, so you will have real attention on your specific case. We always start with auditing existing workflows and understanding how your organization actually works, and try to fit into that model, try to fit into that existing stage stack, so you don't have to kind of adapt to some external things with your internal processes, but it's the vice versa. So this is something you should look always if you look for a partner to cover your localization needs. And yeah, if you feel that you need help, feel free to reach out, and our team will be happy to answer questions and help you get started with the localization journey. So kind of finishing all that information about localization, and if you are maybe new to the journey, I think kind of from summing up all this, why email localization is important, I would say it's not just about translation and all those technical steps you have to compare during the way. It's about creating meaningful communication and meaningful connections with your global audience. So it's about helping brands to connect with people. So I kind of would like to encourage you to look for new markets. If you have a product, you have a service to sell to clients, look for new markets where your product or service is in demand, is needed, and use localization to provide meaningful communication, meaningful connections with your audiences. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, very much for the valuable, inspirable presentation. And inspirable, I want to say that in the description on our YouTube, there is a link to the language inspired. And in the comments, there is a link to the ultimate guide from language inspired, how to choose the right language service. So please follow it, you get your insights, and return back to us with the questions. By the way, about the questions, we have a lot of questions, so I will try to keep my question as short as possible, but I still have a priority to ask. So sorry, everybody who asked the question. I'm sure that we will ask all the questions that in chat at the moment. But before this, again, thank you very much. And can you help me to understand if I am a service who used only one language, and after our session, or maybe earlier, just realized that I want to add more languages and started to translate something. How to manage my audience, how to segment it, and should we give them a chance to choose a language we would like to communicate, because before this, we communicated only, for example, in English. How we have to choose a language to communicate? Should we inform about this? Should we give an option to choose the right language, and how to manage all the stuff?
Yeah, so questions is usually kind of the way to action and to results. So a very good question of this. The easiest way to manage this is creating for your users a way to choose the language in your website, for example. So it's usually kind of on top of the web page, or scrolling down. You can find. So you can use your preferred language that is not always kind of your native language, or the language of your geolocation. So that's important that the user can choose, and as well you can allow the user to set that for some next times. Still remember that it should be used kind of easy to find where to switch the language, because sometimes the user would like to still switch to other language. That's something I personally have experienced with some sites, that you kind of set it, and then you have trouble to switch from the first settings you chose. So that's maybe something you should consider. And if you would like to kind of ease the way for the user, besides the choice, you can also already kind of automatically detect user language preferences, and that can be detected by geolocation, IP address, operation system, or as well kind of offer that switch from user history. So if you see that the user switch once the language, you can offer to switch to language once again when the user comes to your web page.
So it means that it's not enough just to translate content. It also, we have to implement or get the data for the user segmentation. from the browsers, AP, and now I don't know, can we trust AP because there is a VPN, and sometimes, I don't know, I'm traveling a lot and I'm using, if you know, like eSIM, virtual eSIM. And now at the moment I'm in Portugal, it shows me that I'm in Poland, and all this kind of thing is pretty messy. What you think is the most effective method we have to rely when we automatically detect the language?
So yeah, still proactivity always kind of bring the most results. So besides, as we said already, kind of IP will not tell you today exactly whatever the user is native Polish or any other language or Portuguese, like you said you kind of are in Portugal right now. So you will prefer other language, and it's always and it's not always means that it's your native language. For example, the page is not offering your native language, but you can prefer, for example, I sometimes prefer to switch to German sites because I have background in German language. So it's kind of for me one of the options I use, and yeah. So I would rely on a possibility to switch the language, but the proactivity part is when you see user coming in from some location, you can offer, are you in this kind of, would you like to use this language? And you can ask, what is your language preference? So technically set up this for your site. So user will choose the language, and then for next time you can set it automatically. So that will
Yeah.
be probably kind of appreciated by users.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You mentioned in your presentation that there are a lot of like standards that have to be managed, like ISO, GDPR, and a lot of them. And in terms of like a privacy, it's not enough to translate just message. Sometimes you have to translate personalization data, like a first name. If you would, for example, if I registered in any service that spoke English to me using my English spelling, Dmitro, and once you realize that my native language is Ukrainian, should you say me hello or привіт? Привіт means hello in Ukrainian, or oi in Portugal, and put my English spelling. So, or maybe some product I bought previously for e-commerce solution. Should I translate all this personal stuff, and how it's regulated by laws?
Very good question. Yeah, so this is another angle where we see kind of we have a lot of touch points we can consider. Like as you said, kind of you set up one personal data entrance field, and you think kind of this is it, but it's not always the case in any market. So in place of hard coding your personal data entrance fields, use placeholders, for example, to allow then with localization change that for each specific locale. So that would be probably kind of the first thing I would recommend to do to tackle
But
this.
is it okay, for example, by any of the standard law to translate name of my customer without asking him a permission to use like a different way to spell my name? Or I don't know, is any kind of sensitive data we cannot change?
So yeah, so there you have to make sure things like data storage and strong encryption of personal data. So and that you have so as I mentioned before, so one of the things is legal data. So make sure you have localized and clearly stated your privacy policies in each language to explain how personal data is used and localized in your communication in your company. So you don't it's clear for the user, and you as well don't get into any trouble if you have with those regulations.
Yeah, so first we have to work with user agreement policy and other legal documentation, inform all our customers that you do some changes, and only after that you can use this data according to the rules described in this policy. Yeah? So it's definitely have to do some formal steps before you start to manipulate with it.
Yeah, so this basically connected with prioritizing the content you need for your user journey to localize, and with this technical setup. So before you localize anything, also one crucial step you can probably, that's a whole other topic. If you are not familiar with this, you can look up, for example, in our blog, it's internationalization. Come on. so, uh, so a long term. So before you localize your content, you would like to implement from day one in your company, if you have the ambitions to go global, internationalize your whole code and your content, so you have a more easy path when you go to localization.
Yeah, I see that it's not easy thing. It's definitely for us not to do some mistakes. Is better to have some assistance in this journey. And yeah, I think it's a time to ask a question from the audience, because of we already in a live for more than an hour. So let's try to prepare the answer. And Alexandra, we need your assistance. Please help us with and manage all the questions.
Sure. I will show you and I will read you. The first question. Hello. The biggest challenge for me is taking cultural difference into account when communicating with different people around the world via email. It's just a statement, not the question, but if you have some comments, you can add them.
Yeah. So to that, you one of the answers is just mention internationalization. So you can adjust some stuff so it's not so cultural specific. But on the other hand, if you kind of try to make everything understandable for everyone, you lose some kind of, and you can use even a kind of brand essence. So yeah, to that, for example, a story of Starbucks trying to kind of internationalize or over localize things in certain markets. You have to understand what is looking the user for. Sometimes the user is looking either to get that specific experience, what your brand is known in the other market. So this game can be very tricky. So I hope we get to answers, not to more questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, and sorry, I would add some question here. Yes,
Sure.
it's a huge challenge. For example, like it was a COVID time, some countries had a lockdowns, and now is a war time in Ukraine. Some promotion and some messages can hurt people who is or in Israel, who is hiding from the bomb attacks. And New Year party in Chinese, in some countries, it's just different different dates for New Year celebration, or some local holidays. Like in India, it's very, very specific holidays for big country with a big audience. So I think you have to do segmentation, not only by language they prefer to speak, because if in India people speak in English, but you also have to understand the real location where they are. And yes, it's a huge challenge, huge, but we have to work with this.
Yeah,
Indeed.
as better you manage, as you said, segmentation, as better you can manage your user preferences and understand what is your user looking for, as better you can localize stuff for the user and get better results on kind of selling side, because you still would like to see people in different regions and different cultural groups to buy your product or service. And if you send a message that resonates with the specific group or region, so it will help you to make better results.
Okay, thank you. So the next question: how do you manage localization for languages that are read right to left, like Arabic or Hebrew, in terms of email design and user experience?
So yes, this is a common kind of challenge for kind of different left to right and right to left languages. So this should be today addressed with implementing your localization in design stage. So, for example, there is some source where you create your email templates, Stripe, any other kind of place, and if you from design tools like Figma, you can create integrations technically with TMS systems. And so with the right partner like us, you can already localize your content in design stage, so you don't have to redesign everything, because it will change length as well. Here we have different writing system. For example, with very simple example is English and German. German is much longer language, so as well you have to adjust the designs. But if you implement that in design stage, as well localization, you can adjust that and don't struggle with that later when you have kind of finished design and you see you don't have the place to put the text on. So you have already to plan. If you know you will localize in those markets, in those languages, you already plan according the rules you will have for those kind of. You will need more space, so your designer can work on templates that take into account that you will have different layouts for Arabic or Hebrew, or just longer text you need to place for German.
Yeah, so yes, that how long text is important. It can break layout, but right to left is even more changed because of in a most of creativity stuff, it's just enough to translate text. But for right to left, you always have to change the design of your banners, and always should have a different. So if you have a if you have some text or numbers in a promotional banner, you can leave it. But for right to left, usually you have to change even this. You have to support currency. You have to support measuring units. You have to do so many different things. And I just want to mention in the comments that Anya said about the bigger challenge. The bigger challenge she wrote is finding time to translate email properly. And yes, I think you should automate process, find a good advisor who can help you to set up everything, just not minifying the price you spend for every new message, every new translation. It has to be like part of routine work that costs you very little and have a bigger money.
Yeah, this certainly can be addressed with planning. That's kind of a usual challenge that you have to plan time for localization. If you understand this market is important for you, you have to localize to reach your audience. So you, as mentioned today, so you have to establish a localization strategy as well as you have your business strategy. It's a part of your start strategy. You just kind of defined the process where it fits in, and yeah, therefore the answer is as well setting up a continuous localization workflow where you can preset things and don't think about that every time you paste it. Just do it before, so everyone is kind of in places ready to do what you need.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Let's move to the next question. How can businesses prioritize localization for markets where multiple languages are spoken? For example, should a company focus on just one main language or offer several options?
So this also common challenge for companies. This should be addressed with research on what's your product, what's your service, and what's the market. Not always the answer will be to kind of, let's say, Swiss market. So 3 languages. We could just go kind of with the biggest group. What's usual thinking of almost everyone and also any other market. So just pick kind of the main language. But this will not be always your right answer, because maybe your product will be more attractive to some other group that is actually not the kind of main language or mostly used language in that region. So actually you could win better with other language you choose for this market. So practical answer I would say is to start to test, for example, the same, put out some blog post and see, let's say 3 languages for that market, test a blog post in those 3 languages, and you will see data, which language group is more attracted, is looking more for your product or service, and therefore you will be able to prioritize with which language to start in this market.
Thank you.
I would also add to words here. First, yes, I very agree with Chris that it's very dependent on the type of your product. If you Airbnb or Uber, there are some categories of people who just not understand other language, even if it's official in this country. If you don't know, especially now when a lot of migration, how many people don't really understand the like main language, and it's much easier for them to choose even food if you do like in application like Glovo. It's popular in Europe to choose the right food. So it's depending. For example, for Stripe, everybody really understands English because of marketing. It's professional tool. It's B2B. Everybody knows English terms for creating emails, but it's still helpful for some categories to be localized, not high priority. So when we started to add localizing, we didn't have a huge growth of our performance, but we became closer to our customers and be ready to continue to invest into this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dmitry.
Yeah, great example, Dimitro. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, the great example. Thank you. The next question from Anya. So, when it is best to use GenAI powered translations and human post editing, and when is it best to stick to human translations and human post editing, both in emails and websites?
So again, this is a question of strategy. Let's look in direction. So what is your brand strategy? Would you be like the brand with the highest user experience level? So you would look most of the time to human translations or services like transcreation or creative translation, what is highly creative. And if you have like high-end product, your message should be also be high-end. So and depends how creative your message should be. In case, for example, let's take e-commerce. So you have a pretty robust product that is not high value, is not high priced. You should then look, of course, for AI generated translations, but add some layer of control over there. So you can go to sites like Temu, for example. Are we allowed to say names in this conversation? So, and you can see for a number of markets, probably the translation you get there, the localization you get there is purely machine translation or created output. You can kind of understand that you have to buy this tiny thing and it costs you a small amount of money, so you don't have high risk on kind of doing something wrong with that, and you as a user will be tolerant on the content, so you can get the idea what it is, so it doesn't cost a lot, you buy it. If you go to buy a piano for your daughter who would like to have a great concert, probably you will be more than demanding about the content quality and consider kind of availability about the product information, trustfulness, things like that before the price on the tag.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Agree with this, and just want to add that some messages it can be automatically translated like Airbnb does, because it's a service that connects people from different countries. And when the host writes your message in his language, and you have to understand it's automatically translated, and always you have a link that sees the original language and translate with other service, or maybe you understand this language and you can put it in your profile. It's one thing that connecting people with the different cultures and how you can manage this. There are so many user-generated content. But in email marketing, there are a lot of people use AI, and now some system provide personalization option for the text block. So you say, like, language is a text block. You put it in English, but if it feeds to your customer in a trigger or promotional email, it just can give you pre-moderation. And somebody has to review this, what AI would ask them and say, okay, send. And this pre-moderation can be expired by time. It can be, if you didn't like confirm, it sends in English. You have to manage risks, because of sometimes it can be vitally important, and it can be fines and maybe big scandals if you send them messages, especially in email. Sometimes it's sensible message, and like sometimes you just cannot rely on AI on this. But also, you cannot translate everything and pre-moderate everything. So I think this moment of a delegation for translation have to be not in one-to-one communication, almost impossible, but one-to-many. So when you personalize message for group of a context, the same. And in this case, you can pre-moderate till you trust it. So yes, it's a tricky question. Nobody knows. Everybody would like to rely on AI a lot. It has to do just one button, give me money, but it still doesn't work like this. Maybe
That's
next
so.
month.
To add to this, it's basically it's a tricky question because it can involve a lot of variables, as you just shared with Dimitri. So on user generated content, of course, you can use it, and it's and even you can use it on emails and web pages and other stuff. But you have to make the decision, and sometimes it's hard to make the decision as you are not a professional, and therefore with us as a partner, you will have an expert in place, whether it's in our case, solution specialist from our company, who will take a look on your situation or your specific case and help you to distinguish so you can be cost effective and use the possibilities of generative AI in translation, automate things, and do a lot of stuff where you have use cases implemented for your clients and keep you safe from making bad decisions on that.
Thank you. So the next question from Alexei. I have a question for you. How do you measure the success of a localization effort in email marketing? And are there specific KPIs or user feedback metrics that companies should monitor? Sorry.
Yeah, you should create a specific KPI metric, and most of the time it's and gather user feedback, and most of the time it's similar of what KPIs would you give for your existing content in your kind of main language. So if the same as you follow what is the metrics in if you run emails in English. So you measure success scores, you understand what call to action works, what subject line works. So you will be able to measure all that in localization. As I mentioned today, you still have to A/B test subject lines, call to action buttons as well when they are localized, because there is not just one way, as you can say it in English in different ways, the same thing that's the same in any other language. So so yeah, the answer is about the same setup in localization, what you would track in any of your source languages.
Yeah. I would also add that it's not only few products who can do A/B testing for localization, because if you should have a very big audience for this. It's also you have to apply it for your strategy of your company. Do you support this? And don't expect the quick result. So if you cannot compare English like segmentation and, for example, Portugal or German or Ukrainian, because of first, they didn't expect it before. So you just changed something. Then you have the segmentation based on data they provided to you, and who provided the most engaged people. So you don't have a real clear A/B test. You have to understand and be committed. So you have some like commitment. I will speak on a language of my customers and want to support this. Do this and get the number in later, not based on one campaign, but in general. And the best metric, I think, here is engagement rate. Whereas engagement means not only open rate, click rate, or maybe conversion rate. It's something maybe it's bounce rate, including like a negative metric, or unsubscribe rate, or it's also has to be in account the metric by period of time. Retention rate. So many metrics. I would join them on engagement metric. You can get only in a long term. So it's not quick win. It's a big investment and a part of your culture. So don't expect the quick result because of it's also email plus website plus the processes plus people who involved plus blah blah blah, a lot of pluses. I think it's culture.
Thank you.
Exactly.
So, we are out of time. I suggest to choose the last question. And it will be, what's your take on using localized humor in emails? How can companies strike the right balance between being relatable and ensuring the message isn't lost or offensive?
Oh yes, that's a whole topic. So yeah, you should be careful with that. There will be cultures that wouldn't expect a joke in your email, kind of from a company at all. So yeah, so as again, the answer is expertise, the right experts, the right language experts who work with your content will help you to navigate this. So you don't run into problems, but you probably kind of, if you think you can just run ChatGPT to recreate the message in another market and send it out, you can get some surprises there. So yeah, the advice would be to do a research and consult with language experts on what jokes can be used in emails and what are the markets you should just avoid that. But yeah, so this good as well. This is a good way to kind of and you can see that between markets as well. So some markets will allow you really to kind of localize jokes and get to your targets, and some markets will just be impossible to recreate the same kind of joke.
Yeah. I would also add something here. The humor is not localized. Almost not localized. It's very hard, almost impossible. So read off a lot of humor if you would like to be localized. I have my personal experience speaking in different countries, and I had very very bad situation sometime when I didn't realize this, but I heard some mentions in my like jokes that I did like without any. I don't want to give you this example, but it hurt the Indian people when we discussed the spam. It was a slide it's a very popular slide, the train with a lot of people on it. And one day it said, okay, see, it's not necessary to send message to everybody. Some customers don't need to send something like this. And about 80% of audience were from India, and some of them sat on this train, and it hurt them because of migration. Well, it's a huge problem for them, and you didn't realize this sometimes. And some asked me, okay, great presentation, but please, you have to know that it hurts. And sometimes you don't know, especially when you do some humor based on movies, some slides or memes, and memes in different countries are very different as well. Some jokes again now that relates to Ukrainian Russians, so it's unacceptable. So yeah, humor is great. It always connects people. Sometimes it disconnects people if it's wrong.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, on humor, yeah, it's most of the time you have to adapt it, you have to replace it. You will not able to kind of localize and translate it. So localization will mean they're really adapting different jokes. There are some big jokes like let's say Cristiano Ronaldo about Coke and water. You know, kind of it happens like on global stage. You can reuse that in a number of countries, and people will understand that. But if it's a joke of kind of local thing, that will be just possible to replace it or you have to establish a wholly different message at all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, we have a question several times was asked to answer to this. I know that we answered the last question, but it's related to a Stripe. When you see how can I learn Stripe in perfect way and learn? Yeah, we have a blog. You can write to our support. We will help you. We will definitely help you. Please ask us, and we will also provide you all information from the language inspired. We know have links under our chat, and please somebody add the answer in the text of this question to a chat. So we answered, I think, all questions we promised to answer.
Yeah, thank you
And
so
thank
much.
you, Chris, for this. It's
Yeah.
1
thank
hour
you for
and a
having me.
half. Thank you for
Was a great
everybody who
discussion.
was with us during all this period of time. You're great. Chris, yes, very, 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 very thank you. Appreciate a lot your insights, your information you provided, and all work you do to connecting people with different language across the companies. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for today. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm sure that our audience found a lot of insights, a lot of information that could be used, that could be implemented. And of course, we will send an email with the recording of this session and with a lot of resources. So, Kristaps, thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Yeah, let's connect people with brands and get the right email messages out there.
Yeah, it's hard, but we will do.
It will succeed. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.